wake up! New Serral replay pack just dropped. Guys, what I've got for you today is a best-of-3 series, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Dragon Skills, and spotted right here in the bottom right-hand corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones from Finland. We have the man who by many is considered to be the greatest StarCraft 2 player of all time, and his name is Serral. I don't get to cast a whole lot of Serral's replays because in general he doesn't play in a whole lot of tournaments. He really only signs up for the biggest and the best ones, and I mean, who can blame him? He's very good at the game. No particular reason to share any more information than you absolutely need to. His opponent, though, in the opposite corner, one of my absolute favorite Terrans from South Korea with the red Terran SCVs. We're looking inside of the main base of GuMiho. Alrighty, GuMiho, of course, the trickster Terran, right? This man, well, he loves playing spicy games of StarCraft 2, but I have noticed, I want to say over like the last year or two, but really over the last half year, Serral has been mixing it up. So historically, Serral has always been playing that rather predictable style, right? Almost a little bit comparable, rather, to Innovation, right? When Innovation was still playing StarCraft 2 actively, and spoiler alert, he's back once again as well. He just actually qualified for the GSO Code S. But anyways, that very rigid, very predictable playstyle is something we could criticize Serral for back in the day, but well, he's certainly been mixing it up a little bit here and there. So this time around, we've got a quick gas geyser together with a spawning pool. And that is, of course, a little bit different than, well, the regular order that we normally see. Hatchery into a gas geyser and then eventually a spawning pool. So I have to see exactly what his plan is with these early game Zerglings. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, GuMiho not going for the SCV scout. So roughly speaking, there are 2 ways for Terran to open up. First off, well, I guess there's 3. First off, you can go for an SCV scout into a Reaper. Secondly, you can skip the SCV scout and go only with the Reaper. And I guess third, you could just skip scouting altogether and only go, well, for like a Marine. Those seem to be the most common option. I guess SCV into Marine also is an option, but this is certainly not uncommon, but this could catch him off guard. This is gonna make things a little bit awkward because Zerglings are already running towards the other side of the map. Okay. There's a Marine on the back of this, double Marine on the back of this, so this should be okay right here for Gumi. Oh no, he decides to cancel that Marine and go straight into a reactor instead. This command center on the low ground could be in a little bit of trouble. Here's the Reaper in the main base. Serral so far microing his units correctly. Is he not going to... What? That honestly really surprises me. I think that was actually a misplay. Okay, he should still be able to deal damage right here. Yeah, he's still gonna deal damage right here to the SCV. Okay. Thought for a second he was gonna send those Zerglings on over towards the third base. And this is now an absolute nuisance here. This is so annoying to play against. Because you can't really lift up the barracks here either to switch it over with the factory, because then the Zerglings get in. One thing that's also worth noting is that Terran players actually rely on this command center to finish in order to not hit a supply block. So right now, GuMiho at 31 out of 31 supply. This command center may actually be dead. That very quick Zergling speed being an absolute nuisance here. I think it is going to stay alive for now, but this is already a very good situation right here for the finisher. Who's playing a normal macro game on the back of this. Third hatchery has been taken. He's adding on a lot of drones. Hold up, guys. I have to close my window blinds. I just realized Mother Nature being very annoying while I'm giving commentary to this game. I couldn't see the top left-hand corner of my monitor very clearly because of the sun. Ugh. What good has Mother Nature ever done for us? Let's be real here for a second. Glare on my monitor, can't see the production tab. A disaster. Anyways, speaking of disasters though, this early game right here is not particularly great for Gumi. Now, yeah, disaster may be a bit of a strong word, but he certainly has been played a little bit here so far. Okay, so we've got additional expansion right now done right here for Serral. He's gonna start spreading creep. That's one of the downsides of an opener like this. Obviously, your creep strat is gonna be hindered a little bit because you're not making as many queens early on. And obviously, if you go for a pool first, you can't start spreading creep nearly as easily from the natural, just because you don't have that creep over there, right? With the expansion finishing up a little bit later. In the end, though, apparently Serral's not done yet. He now plots down a Roach Warren, which I find rather interesting as well. So we have a single gas, we don't have a lair, there's no banelings. There's none of that. It's just gonna be queens and Zerglings for now. He's been mining some gas out of a single extractor, but that's really it. Since he is preparing overlords in advance, I do believe he's once again, gonna go for a cheeky little push here. Okay, he's adding on a couple more Zerglings. I think that's mostly as a response right here to these Hellions. Good control right here on the Zerglings, though. Okay, well, maybe I'm mistaken. I think he maybe originally intended to go for a bit of roach aggression here, but now upon seeing all of this and getting some units for free, he's like, you know what? I already got the advantage I've been looking for. Rather than putting it all on the line, I may as well not take any risks. Look at those Marines, by the way. Standing shoulder to shoulder right there, pretending to be a supply depot. You love to see it. Lair instead is coming up right now for Serral. For Serral? For the Zerg. Serral. And he's decided to go for Spore Crawlers here as well. So the Spore Crawler is an indicator he's a little bit concerned for the follow-up right here for Gumi. It could still technically be anything from a Banshee to a Liberator to even a Battlecruiser, if that's what GuMiho wants to go for. Obviously, GuMiho is well known for his Battlecruiser play, but in this particular game, not the case. He's got triple CC, or sorry, he's got triple barracks right here. Triple CC starts up right now, but it's got to be triple barracks opener. This certainly means he needs to get something done. You can't really make all of these units and slow down your third command center without really, well, getting any work done on the other side of the map. So you got to be careful here. Now, normally, Serral, at least in most of the games that I've seen him play over the years, he is very much so a Ling Bane kind of guy. Recently, over the last few months, I've seen Dark play quite a bit of this, where they go for double upgrades and then also the Roach speed. I am expecting missile upgrades. What's it gonna be? Carapace in the first? Yeah, missile in the second. So, Serral doubling down on the Roach Ravager style here, which is, once again, a little bit different. So maybe that predictability I was talking about, maybe Serral's like, you know what? I don't need that anymore. I'm gonna try my very best and develop some new playstyles. Make it even more difficult to beat me in this particular matchup. There have been tournaments in the past where Serral has literally never dropped a game of Zerg versus Terran. ZVT and ZVP have historically always been top tier. Zerg versus Zerg is usually Serral's main weakness. But yeah, historically he's never really lost a lot of ZVTs either, but he still decides to mix it up. Staying up with the meta, you love to see it. Okay, so here's a scary push though for Gumi. This is out of more barracks than what you normally expect, and there's already 3 siege tanks here in the mix as well. Roaches, of course, take a lot of damage from those tanks, yeah. Serral's ready to prepare himself for a, well, a late-game transition right now with that infestation pit and all that, but if it's up to Gumi, he's never gonna get to that point in the first place. And look at these units dealing so much damage. You love to see it, okay. Yeah, Ling Bane, significantly better against a unit composition like this. Because the problem with the roaches, right, you can't really fight it in multiple waves. You kind of just need to, like, get one really large clump of roaches out and overwhelm it right from the get-go. Because if you're bleeding out units, since the roaches obviously, there you go, a couple get cancelled as well, since the roaches kind of just have to get in range of fighting first, whereas Lynx and Banes are super quick. Yeah, this is actually looking much better right now for Gumi. Okay, alright, this is important right here, because if this game number 1 would have gone easily in favor here of the Zerg, now he's gonna lose the Roach Warren as well. So, I mean, he's gonna need a new Roach Warren, or I guess switch to Lynx. Anyways, if this game would have gone easily in favor of Zerg, that can very much so be a mental block as well. GuMiho's striking back right now. In the meantime, on the back of this, he's secured the 3rd base. He's rallying everything he's got across the map, now going into Liberators as well, and I do love that. A mule has been dropped here to try and bring those siege tanks back up to full HP. If this was Bjorn, I think he would probably be sending a medevac towards the main base right now, and I'm a little surprised that that is not happening. But I guess GuMiho doesn't want to leave those siege tanks alone, because there's a chance that they get overwhelmed. Okay, those siege tanks, oh my god, firing away at all those roaches really nicely. I actually think GuMiho may have just done it. He found a cloud of overlords here. Yeah, he's gonna need to kill quite a few of them before Serral's supply block, but not bad at all. Okay, Roach Warren finally finishes. Serral has been preparing a bunch of those overlords in advance to try and make a large round of roaches, and then he can't because he hit a supply block. I am a little concerned though with the amount of time that our Terran player is hanging out here. Because 3 siege tanks and 3 medevacs and all that, that's still expensive. He needs to reinforce this. I would love to see a scan over here to get rid of some of those creep tumors, but apparently GuMiho is just trying to reinforce this as quickly as possible right now. Okay, no pickup right there on that one siege tank. Good pickup right there, however, on the Marauders. But the creep is providing a lot of vision. At the same time, though, the Marines and the Marauders and the Medevacs, they are pushing forward. Liberators now also doubling down on this entrenched position right over here. I'm sitting here commentating this with a big smile. Sorry, I forgot to talk about the game for a little bit there for like 5 seconds. But this is real good. The early game, it looked incredible for Serral. But suddenly GuMiho struck back. He knew exactly what to do. Going for a relatively unorthodox follow-up as well with the triple barracks. Normally we see triple CC prioritized. But GuMiho, I mean, he's the trickster Terran himself. He's very good when it comes to thinking on the fly. And, well, he's not won this game yet, but this is looking a lot better than it did after the first couple minutes of the match. Serral still desperately trying to add as many units as he can. GuMiho is bleeding out a lot though. Yeah. Good target firing right there on some of the low HP Zerg units. I would love to see the Liberator over here in the back maybe also moving a little bit closer to the ramp. Now the GuMiho, the Spore Crawler right here is going to be in range of GuMiho's Liberator. Yeah, the Marines and the Marauders are not really winning the straight up fight by themselves. They really do need the support. Okay. There's some, very nice corrosive biles connecting with both the Liberator as well as the tank. Yeah, and Serral will be able to break this. Okay, nicely done. Very nicely done there. Serral does eventually break it. So let's have a look at the units lost at this point. And that really does tell the full story. Obviously, Gumi didn't have a great economy early on, but he's got it now. I haven't really looked at it yet. There was a little bit of a roach counterattack as well, but I don't think it killed too many workers. Nah. We've got a good saturation right here on the third, and now the fourth command center starts up too. So this is before the third, or the fourth hatchery rather, of Serral once again, well, restarts. Okay. 3 additional barracks coming right up. What exactly are the options right now for Serral? I don't think he can really easily transition. Maybe he can mix in, yeah, an Infestor or 2. I think that's probably what Dark would be doing in this particular case. But those Infestors are, okay, or 3 I guess. Those Infestors are rather expensive. He's not really capable of going for the energy upgrade here. Basically what I think Serral's looking for now is a lucky fungal growth. Now, a Doom Drop to the main base. Again, that's something maybe Björn would be preferring, but I don't think that's really what you want to be going for. I think cleaning out some of the creep here would be fantastic. Yeah, so you can go for a push here. So 2-2 is actually, well, +2 infantry weapons anyways. It's just about to finish. The armor upgrade a little bit behind. Okay. I think what Serral's going to do is just remax on more of the same units. So Roach Ravagerling with Infestors for support. Just try to make a very large army. Don't bother transitioning towards a hive. Basically go for one final shot. Will he capture it or really let it slip? Now, the Infestors on the high ground. Okay, they do get scouted there. That's beautiful. Super important. That's also why these Marines and Marauders are split off from the rest of the pack to try and snipe down those Infestors in blue. But still, Serral turns out to be a tough nut to crack here. GuMiho's got a lot of army though. +3 starts up as well. +2 is going to finish up for the armor very soon. I think GuMiho can go for an all-out assault here. Yeah, I think pulling your opponent in multiple directions is going to be very helpful. Because Serral now almost relies on hitting a good fungal growth. Without fungal growth, without rooting those Terran units in place, it's going to be, well, I guess slowing those Terran units in place. It's going to be very difficult to actually obtain the victory here. Now, there's a lot of Overlords adventuring on the right side of the map here, so at the very least, this Medevac drop does get spotted. Fungal growth, fungal growth! There's a big fungal growth! That is much better than what Serral was hoping for. Siege tank also unsieged over here, and this fight is a little bit messy. There's really not that many Terran units to support all of this, and in the meantime, half of the Zerg army has deflected the Medevacs on the right. There's a little bit of a Zergling run by as well, killing the command center. Or at least the SCV that's, well, it's trying to kill the command center. At least the SCV that's building the CC. In the meantime, though, the 4th command center has landed over here, right down from the main base and to the left of the 3rd. And it grew a planetary fortress on top of it, so that's pretty neat. I'm still liking this better for GuMiho, but he needs to be careful. Serral shows us he's not gonna go down without a fight, and apparently he now felt confident enough as well to go up towards the Hive. 3-3 upgrades have started up, but they're expensive. He's not gonna get value out of that for another couple of minutes. GuMiho is ready to strike right here, right now. The fungal growths are gonna have to be really good. That's a pretty decent one to start off with. Corrosive Bowels over here do connect with a lot more units there than you expect. But in the end, GuMiho's army is too big, and he gets a point on the board. Alright, next up, we find ourselves on Ancient Cistern. Excellent game right there from GuMiho, though. We've seen those games happen time and time again where the Zerg player gets ahead in the earlier stages of the game. And this is not particular to Zerg, I guess, but, you know, since I'm thinking about Serral's gameplay, we've seen it time and time again where he gets ahead early on and he doesn't really make a lot of mistakes, right? He doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. He reads the opponent very well. He makes the right amount of units and then, well, eventually overwhelms you. Coming back against Serral is very uncommon. That being said, I think the big misread right there from Serral was the triple Rex situation, right? So GuMiho was forced to start producing out of that. Well, I think he was planning on making Hellions in that game, but he never really got there. He made a couple of them, of course, when they drove into the natural. But then he knew exactly how to respond in that situation. And rather than adding on a third command center, he decided to add on a couple additional barracks instead. So the barracks, of course, are, well, 150 minerals each. The command center is 400, so with a little bit of math, usually, especially if you account for the add-ons as well, you can roughly produce 2 additional barracks with the same cost as it is to make a command center. And GuMiho, well, he knew his opponent wasn't going to be able to scout all too much. He certainly managed to catch Serral off guard. I also love this, not mixing up his strategy in any way. Yeah, Serral once again going for a quick spawning pool and a quick extractor over here. That hatchery a little bit later. But GuMiho, despite the fact that he did fall behind a little bit in the earlier stages of the previous game, he's decided to go for a, well, just straight Reaper approach once again. No SCV scout towards the other side of the map. Taking some chances. Okay. Here go the Zerglings once again. Little bit of deja vu. This time around, though, I like this path here for the Reaper a lot. Excellent move right here for GuMiho. Catching those Zerglings is huge, right? Because they're not going to get link speed for another, well, minute or so. There should be 4 Zerglings out on the map, so at the very least, that's a relatively, yeah, common situation to be in. Double Marine this time on the back of it as well. So those Marines, they should be able to just chill on the low ground, or at the very least protect the command center. And now suddenly, this opener is not worth it for the Zerg. Well, assuming there was a bit of a quicker reaction right there on those 2 Marines. Anyways, eventually the SCVs will be able to finish up this command center. Terran won't be hitting a supply block here either. And this time around, we've got a very quick third command center on the back of this as well. And I'm assuming here, yeah, Serral did spot it, so at least he knows roughly what he's playing against, but there's not really that much you can do about it. Then again, though, Serral's actually making a lot more links. What in the world? He just, well, I mean, it's not a lot. I guess it's only 6 in total, but it's a little unorthodox for him to add on additional Zerglings at this point in the game. I don't see what they're going to be able to achieve. Yeah, so we go for like 10 links here early on. They've essentially done nothing. They've just been free pickings here. A single Hellion, by the way. A single Hellion while we are transitioning right here. So are we going to do the big switcheroo here? Yeah, we are. And I guess the starport is going to go on the tech lab. Okay. So it's a bit of a strange Hellion opener, but eventually we do get there. And I'm assuming we're going to go for some Banshee play? Yep. That makes a lot of sense. Hellion Banshee is amazing. As we already saw previously, Serral's very fond of going for a Roach Warren, apparently. So, yeah, the Banshee opener can really shut that down. Generally speaking, whenever you do see a Roach-based push, the Roach Warren gets planted down at about 3:30 or so, sometimes a little bit earlier, depending on whether or not your nickname is Dark. Dark likes to make his Roach Warren anywhere between 3 and 4 minutes, seems to be his go-to. But anyways, it's not happening in this particular game, but what I'm getting at is normally if we see a Roach push, it would hit right about 4.5 to 5 minutes or so, and that's right around the same time as the Banshee spot. So excellent situation right here for Gumi. He's essentially gotten away with a very greedy third command center while dealing more damage to his opponent than his opponent has dealt to him. Very good start right here. Okay. So Gumi, what's the plan? Stimpack. Okay. There's the Roach Warren once again. I'm actually a little surprised about the Roach Warren situation. Yeah. The thing is, right? For most players, when you go down the Roach Ravager route, transitioning towards Ling Bane is usually a no-go, just because the upgrades don't line up. So Carapace obviously in the Evo chamber, right? It benefits all of the Zerg units, well, at least the units on the ground, but Missile only benefits, well, Roaches, Ravagers, Hydras, Lurkers, Queens, that sort of thing, right? When you commit to missile upgrades, it usually means that you're not gonna be going for Zerglings anymore. Now, Dark has shown us that it is possible to transition from Roach Ravager into Ling Bane, but it's a very delicate procedure where it just feels really inefficient to me. And I feel like Serral is very much so the kind of guy who like opens up his Excel spreadsheets, at least normally, where he opens up his Excel spreadsheets and he tries to go for the most optimal way of playing. And in my mind, I don't think Serral really likes transitioning. Well, from Roach Ravager into Ling Bane. And maybe... you know what? I think maybe that this Roach Warren was maybe just a safety precaution. Because the Lair at this point is done. But he doesn't start up Glio Reconstitution. He does start up one Roach right now. Interesting. This is a very weird way of playing. Like, none of this really makes sense. We're not really aiming for anything. We're now making a large round of Roaches without Roach speed. We are late on the upgrades. We don't have the Baneling speed upgrade either. This doesn't really lead to anything other than, well, I don't want to die to anything stupid and I'm happy to play the long game. Which may very well be the approach right now. Interesting. So yeah, it's gonna be melee upgrades. So these Roaches really are just purely a I don't want to die type of unit. There's a chance that maybe Serral was putting his opponent on like Battle Mech or something like that, where you kind of need the Roach Warren. Or Mech in general, I suppose. Not the case. But this is gonna give GuMiho a lot of time. This almost feels a little bit disrespectful. We're like, GuMiho is not good enough to punish me for, you know, all of this. 13 drones coming up. We'll see if GuMiho is good enough to punish all of this. So GuMiho has a standard timing attack coming up here momentarily. Stimpak Combat Shields 1-1 upgrades. He's gonna have a large amount of units as well. He doesn't really need to attack if he doesn't want to be honest, but he certainly can. He's been scanning a little bit as well, getting rid of a lot of creep in the middle of the map. Yeah, and now it's time for us to start roasting some drones. So we just made Ravagers, I guess. So these Roaches may also turn into Ravagers eventually, because without Roach speed, not a whole lot they can do. One scan over here would be amazing. I would love to see that, but he just scanned the army here from the Zerg. Okay. So what's the plan now, Gumi? No 4th command center just yet. Started up 2-2 pretty much right away. There's that scan in the middle of the map, but now there's Zerg units waiting to protect the creep as well. Hive is starting up right here for Serral. Yeah. So he's just purely trying to survive right now. We don't really have an attack lined up, other than maybe a run-by of some sort. Okay. Without a 4th command center, this is becoming a very critical fight. So we're up to 5 barracks here. Yeah, there's the 4 CC started. Feels a bit late to me. Man, there's so much creep around here, though. You gotta be so careful here now. There's a little bit of aggression as well on the right side of the map as Marines are forced to protect that new command center. Banshee, okay. Does have a lot of energy available, but no cloaking research. And this is apparently the moment where Serral pulls the trigger. Does he have enough stuff to push all of this back? I think he does. Because this fight is taking place on creep. Yeah. If there was some more energy available, I think he would have scanned and he probably would have gotten rid of all of those creep tumors, and then this fight would have looked entirely different. Serral looked at that, he's like, you know what? I think I can just fight you straight up. I don't even really have to set up a huge surround. Instead, I'll just, well, attack move for the most part, right? Make sure my Banelings don't run into your siege tanks and... Okay. Big loss right there for GuMiho. A little unnecessary too. Like, camping out on creep is not usually a great choice. Okay, so now Vipers are coming up. +2/+2 has started. Adrenal Glands has already begun as well. Very quick Adrenal Glands. That is the Zergling attack speed improvement. It's about 40% additional attack speed on Zerglings, which for obvious reasons is huge. Okay, so the command center over here never finished. He decided to go for a new one, but this game is starting to slip away right now for Gumi. Yeah, I liked this earlier a lot, but Now this 4th command center is super late. The army really didn't get a whole lot done. And even though Serral's tech was maybe not so impressive early on, now we've got an Ultralisk Cavern coming. And without 4-base economy, it's really difficult to actually counter these Ultras. You really do need ghosts, but without that additional economy, it's really difficult to afford those units properly. 3-3 has begun though here for Gumi. Drilling Claws also just about, well, I want to say a third of the way done. Doesn't have a lot of Widow Mines yet, okay. Nice council over there, that was nice. Credit where credit is due. Serral wants to get up to that 90 worker or so count, but, well, he's got 88 drones, but not a whole lot of locations for them to mine. Maybe going for a double expo. Maybe even the low ground over here would be a nice choice. Okay, good split right there from GuMiho. But you can feel the pace of the game shift, right? You can really feel the tempo of the game shift. Yeah, so Serral's plan in this game was just to not die. That was the whole plan. Make sure you don't take critical damage and then eventually overwhelm. I think a playstyle like this would be very punishing against a guy like Maru, or, I don't know, for example, Björn, or Olivera even. They can abuse this sort of playstyle very nicely. I think GuMiho probably would have been better off, honestly, playing like that Cyclone Hellion-based army that he's been playing quite a bit. I would have loved to see that. On a map like this, it's also really strong, but... Opting to go for Bio instead, and now the Ultras are coming out. There's no answer for Ultralisks. I mean, we're going for Marauders, we're going 3-3. There's the Ghost Academy started up as well, so at least there are units on the horizon. But we're gonna have fully upgraded Ultras before too long. And I'm not exactly sure what GuMiho is gonna be able to do against it. He now has the 4CC done though, and that is critical. Hydra then, coming up as well for Serral, okay. So are we gonna go Ultras into Lurkers? Like, what exactly is the Hydra then here for? Maybe it's just another safety precaution, you know? He's got money at this point. We have a little bit of a push happening over here. Blinding Cloud on the Planetary, maybe? No, instead we're just Parasitic Bombing the Metavex to try and deal as much damage to those as possible. Now, Metavex, I believe, have 150 life. Yeah. Parasitic Bomb deals 120 damage, so these units won't go die in... they won't go down in just a single Parabomb, but they will go down eventually, and they're the longevity, right, in this Terran army. Okay. Ultras are spotted, even though they're kind of small. They are spotted there eventually in the ball of Zerg, and Ghosts immediately start up. Okay, there's another Parasitic Bomb. Ravagers from earlier, still around, still trying to be annoying. Okay. Our Zerg is now pretty much fully maxed out. The only thing he doesn't have yet are these 3-3 upgrades. Are we going to wait for those, or not? Terran's gonna go for the base up north, which in theory is a good choice, but there's already a large Zerg army here on the right side of the map as well. And if the entire Terran army is over there, obviously the base on the left is gonna be rather exposed. Okay. Poor Ultralisk right there, it does end up going down. But all of the Widow Mines also got sniped in the process. And upon seeing the Ultras, Ghost immediately started up. And Serral has decided, you know what, I am gonna make very few Ultras indeed. He still has a couple left over, but he's mostly just going mass Zergling on the back of this. Pathogen Glands coming up, okay, Neural Parasite being researched. This is Serral playing the safest game I've ever seen him play. Almost loses a bunch of the SCVs right there to his own Widow Mine. Oh, we could have gotten that. Ah, Serral not actually target firing down the command center. No, that does mean it will get overwhelmed. In the meantime, though, Planetary here on the right side of the map, absolutely trashed. And there's not a whole lot here that our Terran player can do to prevent it. So that's essentially triggering, well, an all-in right now. I don't really want to call it an all-in because GuMiho does have something to fall back to. But what he has at this point in the game is 130-something army supply versus 110-something for the Zerg. So, okay. The Ghosts are trying their best. But without snipes, they're not going to be able to take down that Big Daddy Ultra. Serral just taking the loss right over here, by the way, on the left side of the map, realizing that his opponent's army must be huge, that he should be in a pretty good situation himself. Okay. If this command center here would have died, this game was in the bag. Since it didn't, though, Serral's going to have to make one risky move here, and that is to try and take down that base. Is he gonna just target it down? Well, he's gonna go after the SCVs first. Yep, and that's the command center gone. Okay. In the meantime, though, GuMiho is gonna go for his, what I deem to be his final push. I don't see how he's gonna be able to transition away. He's got a large army, though. He's got more army supply right now than the Zerg. And Zerg doesn't really have that many units. Where are all the units? Okay, good dodging on the corrosive biles as well. There's the banelings rolling forward. There's a lot more Zerglings on the back of this. Serral still has a lot of money in the bank. We don't mind over there, though. Does connect. But so do these banelings. Okay, yeah, those banelings should not have been able to deal that much damage. In the meantime, Serral also won the fight up north. So I think that this one is gonna be a win right here for the finisher. And I'm happy to see that, because that means we're gonna go to a game number 3. That's gonna even up the score. Serral looking very dominant here in the 3rd game, but also certainly playing a rather greedy game, right? Getting all tech, slowing down a lot of his advancements in this game just to make sure he doesn't lose to anything silly. Prepared for a ultimate late game here as well, but I don't think he's gonna need all of that. The orbital command that was previously the main base is floating over towards the 3 o'clock position. But Serral doesn't even really need to harass it, as game number 2 goes in his favor. Okay. Royal Blood. Our final game for today. Are we gonna see any shenanigans once again? Maybe more importantly, is Serral once again gonna open up with a quick spawning pool and gas geyser? Because that is not the standard. He's now played that opener twice in a row. At this point, there's really no way GuMiho is gonna open up with a triple proxy Rex on the other side of the map, right? Because that's the type of build you're just simply hard countering with an opener like this from Serral. So if I were to be a betting man, I think he's gonna go for a hatchery first, because it just makes the most sense. But no. Once again, pool first. Okay. Maybe this is the new standard. I haven't seen that many of Serral's games over the last couple of weeks. Now, luckily, in the new Wardy TV replay pack, we do have a whole lot of Serral games. So, if you're interested to watch a couple more of those, let me know down below in the comment section of this video. There's Serral games versus Björn. I think there's Serral versus Clem as well, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, there's a whole lot of good games included. So, if you want to see those, let me know. And also make sure you subscribe so you get notified as soon as those future videos go live, because I try to upload pretty much every single day. Maybe this is just his new go-to, although this one is a little bit of a variation once again, though. So this time it's a spawning pool. Hello? He doesn't have the minerals. There we go. This time around it's a spawning pool into a hatchery. 6 blind Zerglings, and now eventually a gas geyser too. I feel like we are almost arrived now at the villain era of Serral's performance. Like, this is reminding me honestly a lot of Dark. Where like the last decade has been used to learn the rules of StarCraft and to maximize the rules of StarCraft and to optimize every strategy. And now we're, yeah, throwing a lot of that out of the window. Like, maybe we're now finally, right, after 13 years of StarCraft 2, maybe we're now at the top level finally playing a strategy game. Rather than a game where somebody is trying to execute stuff really quickly and ultimately somebody fails. I don't know, all these builds, they do certainly seem a little bit awkward to me. Anyways, double Marine available already, but this does mean that the command center on the low ground is in some trouble. If this was 4 Marines, or I guess 4 Zerglings, this would have been a bit easier to justify. Okay, well, soon there will be 4 Marines though, so maybe I didn't misspeak. And 4 Marines is gonna be pretty good against 6 Zerglings. Yeah. So this is just an opener to take control. Right? To not be so reactionary. And Serral's probably the best reactionary player that we know in StarCraft 2, but he's like, yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. At least not in this series. Maybe it's also specifically because he's playing against Gumi. And GuMiho is known as a bit of a trickster, of course. Not afraid to play a wide variety of playstyles. I really would have liked to see that Battle Mech style. But judging by the first 2 games, I wouldn't be surprised if that's not his go-to here. Are we once again gonna go Banshees? No. Instead, we're gonna go Marauders with concussive shells. Okay. So, Medevac out of the starport for sure. At least, unless I'm completely wrong here. As soon as he's got the money for it, which he does. Okay, not anymore. Decides to prioritize. Okay, we're prioritizing the armory. Fair enough. Okay, so this is gonna be a Marauder Hellbet push right here from Gumi. And maybe that's one of the reasons why Serral decided to go for a safety Roach Warren at I think about 4 minutes. Yeah. So once again, safety Roach Warren right here for Serral. Now, I think in the previous game he took it a little bit later. I'm not exactly sure, but just by seeing those Hellions play this passively, you can already kind of pick up that something is a little wrong. Why would 4 Hellions be sitting at home? I mean, 6 Zerglings are scary, but when you know you've got 4 Marines there and reinforcements coming, it doesn't really do that much. This is sloppy, though. GuMiho hitting a supply block. Yeah, that supply depot is a little late. Okay, yeah, he's just not gonna go for the 3rd Marauder. That's actually a big mistake. Okay. So Serral sees the medevac move out as well. There should be 3 Marauders with this attack, but there's only 2. There's enough Queens available. Lynx are available as well, and we now have 4 Roaches coming up on the back of this. Okay, well, Serral's respecting this for sure. Just evacuating the 3rd base entirely. Banshee now coming up on the back of this too. Man, with the 3rd Marauder, this would have been so much better, no? Yeah, the Marauders are the real damage dealers here. Okay, Queen's energy? Hello, we have transfuses. Oh, no, we don't. There was a couple energies short right there on the transfusion. Yeah, just a few seconds off. Yeah, you really do miss the firepower right there of 1 additional Marauder. Okay. So in the end, the damage here is minimal, but maybe the Banshee is going to be able to put in a little bit more work. No cloaking or anything along those lines. We also don't have a Stimpak upgrade yet, so we'll have to see what the follow-up is going to be. 3rd Command Center on location? Ooh. I mean, there's Roaches out. That Banshee is gonna, I guess, be pretty good against the Roaches and maybe prevent Serral from going for an attack, but I am a little worried about this 3rd CC. If this was Dark playing, I think he would immediately make a large round of Zerglings. There's not really a whole lot available. I mean, obviously the Banshee can deal some damage. But why not just make it over here and fly it down towards the low ground? Anyways, GuMiho having confidence in his 3rd Command Center placement, and I think he's going to be able to get away with it in this game as well. Serral opting to go for just a whole lot of drones. So, Lair at this point is done. Are we going to go Roach Speed this time around? You certainly could, but maybe we're just once again using this as a stepping stone towards... Yeah, no, we are. Okay. Towards a stepping stone, towards the Ling Bane army, right? But instead, we're gonna go for the missile upgrade together with the Roach Speed. So this is 1-1 with Roach Speed. This is a banger of a timing attack. The classical Zerg push that I've been, well, I've been seeing this build literally since 2010. So 3 base economy, 6 gas geysers, +1/+1 Roach Speed. Those upgrades finish up right around the same time. I mean, in this case, the Roach Speed will be done a little bit sooner, because Serral actually was a little bit late, I think, on those Evos, or at the very least he didn't optimize for it, but you can go for just a banger of an attack with loads and loads of Roaches. Now, obviously, in 2010, you only had Roaches. These days, Ravagers make this push even better. The Ravagers, of course, were not available in Wings. But anyways. After a failed early game, these are the type of timing attacks that can shut down a Terran player really hard. Double factory on the back of this already right here for GuMiho, which I do actually kind of like. He reads the situation very well. Now the question is, will he actually have enough stuff? Because he's gonna need siege tanks in order to defend against this army. And currently there's really not that much available. Serral's now leading this game by a very solid amount of supply. Lings on the back of it too. So I like the Zerglings here primarily that, well, it means more Ravagers first and foremost, which is important, but also because they can wrap around those siege tanks. The tanks do need to siege up. GuMiho is moving forward right now, okay? He sees this army. He sees the Queens even pushing in this direction too. Clinical precision so far here from Serral. Punishing the mistake from GuMiho right there earlier. Corrosive Balls going down. More Corrosive Balls going down over there on that siege tank too. The Queens are here to help out against the Banshee. And I think there's just way too much Zerg. Yeah, this is a clear example of what happens when you make mistakes in the earlier game. Yeah, this is a clear example of what happens when you fall behind in the early game, as it is Serral who obtains the victory 2-1.